Okay, let's start chapter 6. Okay, in chapter 6, we will talk about courage and morale leadership. And in this chapter, the learning objective is combine a rational approach to leadership with concerns for people and ethics. Understand how leaders set the ethical tones in the organization, and just want to check the voice. Yeah, that's working. Understand how leaders set the ethical tones in organizations and recognize the distinction between ethical and unethical leadership. Recognize your own stage of moral development and ways to accelerate your moral maturation. Also, you would know and use the mechanism that enhance an ethical organization culture. Apply the principle of stewardship and servant leadership. We will distinguish between them and apply them, and recognize the courage in others and unlock your own potential to live and act courageously. Ethical climate in business. Leaders face pressures that challenge their ability to do the right thing. And we spoke about doing the things right and do the right thing and the difference between them. The obstacle for leaders usually are personal weakness and self-interest, a pressure that comes in to cut the cost and increase the profit, meet the demand of vendors or business partners, and look successful and please the shareholders. The leader's set of ethical tones is in a field of act as a positive as role models, signal what matters by their behaviors, focus on employees, customers, and greater good, not paying attention to gaining benefit themselves, and honest with employees, partners, customers, vendors, and shareholders. Strive to fairness for fairness and honor agreements. Share the credit for successes and accept the blame when things go wrong. Speak up against acts they believe are wrong. Now, comparing ethical versus unethical leaders, we said in earlier, it's easy on a basic level to clarify ethicals and unethicals. But here is a list that you probably need to go through it, the ethical leader versus the unethical leader. And it's based on integrity, which is an essential executive quality. It's a book written by that. We'll go through them. Action like a moral leader. Business is about values and not just economics performance. The single most important factor in ethical decision making in organization is whether leaders show a commitment to ethics in their talks and especially their behavior. Now, how to act a moral leader is just you need to go through these and see how you can behave in that sense. We'll go through these. More than wheels to core values. It is what at more than wheels, our core values guide use in achievement our mission by working with the client and partners toward the goal of building the lasting financial outcome for our client. You need more than that. You need to build the trust, the non-judgmental, the accountabilities, the teamwork, and the learning. That's the core values that you should be working on it. Now, the moral leadership is distinguishing right from wrong and doing right, seeking the just, the honest, and good in a practice of leadership. So that's the moral leadership definition. Now, there are three levels of personal moral development as we develop that to three stages. The first one is pre-conventionals. The second level is conventional, and the third level is post-conventional. I need you to go through the definition of each one of them and see at what stage you are. But nonetheless, we'll go for that. We'll go for it. Explain that. But this is a nice, an exhibit, and it shows the level of control is like a control centered in the leader, control centered in the followers. What is the level of the control? Once you know the level of control, you need to behave accordingly. So if the control center should be in a leader, then you have what you call a stage one, which is a control authoritarian leader. And you have the obedience subordinate. But in the second developed stage, probably then when you become a participation, so you are participative leader, and the team is players also with you. And then when you have you call, which is you get your leadership is less showing as an action, it's a stewardship, and it's a self-responsible employee. So you do a stewardship, which is your empowerment. You're in the stage of empowerment. And then in the last one, which is as a leader, you're the service provider for them and called a servant leader, which is a whole employees in control of themselves. Authoritarians management, which is the one stage one. And traditional leadership, that's a traditional one. Organization stabilities and efficiencies are paramount, important. Leaders are direct and control their people, set the strategy and goals, as well as the method and rewards for attaining them. Subordinates are totally controlled by leaders in the state. In the participative management, it's where there is increased employee participation through employee suggestions program, participation group, and quality circle. And then you have what you call a paternalistic mindset. There is a certain patterns happen, special cases. And then you have the leader determines the purpose and goals, make a final decision, and decide the reward. Still, it's kind of a mix of these. And employees suggest the quality improvement, act as a team players and take greater responsibilities for their own jobs. And employees are not a true partner in the enterprise, but they are followers. Now, in the case, the third stage, which is we talked about it in that where the leader becomes a stewardship, is a belief that leaders are deeply accountable to others as well as to organization without trying to control others to find the meaning and purpose for others or take care of others. That's the stewardship. Without controlling them, he needs to take care of them too. Now, in the stewardship, the framework of a stewardship is different in a sense that you adopt a partnership mind with the followers, give the decision-making power and authority to act to those closest to the work and the customers, tie rewards to contributions rather than formal position, and expect core work team to build the organization. That's because you become just a stewardship. And then the last one, when a leader becomes a servant, which is a servant leadership, is the definition is that the leadership in which the leader transcends self-interest to serve the needs of others, help others to grow, and provide opportunities for others to gain material and emotions. The framework for the servant leadership usually puts service before self-interest. Listen first to affirm others. Inspire trust by being trustworthy. Trust comes in first. Nourish others and help them to become a whole, uh, part of the team. But we said a leader should have some kind of a courage, and we need to define what's a courage. Courage is the mental and moral strength to engage in, persevere through, and withstand danger, difficulties, or fear. So there is a strength within. Now, courage means accepting responsibilities. Courage often means non-conformities. It does not have to be a conformative to be a courage. Courage means pushing beyond the comfort zone of yours and others. Courage means asking for what you want and saying what you think. Courage means fighting for what you believe. Interesting. But there is what you call a pylon paradox. The tendency of people to resist voicing their true thoughts or feeling in order to please others and avoid conflict. It's whatever you say, sir. That means that paradox. Now, how does a courage apply to moral leadership? It's like acting like a moral leader requires personal courage, and opposing unethical conduct also requires courage. Now, there is what we call a whistleblowing. I think some of you knows what it's all about, and always comes in the news. Whistleblowing, when the employee disclose of illegal, immoral, or unethical practice inside the organization, in the organization. And that's what he is risking himself. Finding personal courage, how it comes in, is first you need to believe in a higher purpose. It draws strength from others or harness frustration and angers or take a small steps to increase your courage. That's the end of the chapter.